Okay, this is page 2 of our review for test 2. And number 7, we're asked to expand logarithmic expressions. And what you need to know here is that when you take the log of a product, that converts to the sum of the logs. So in this case, we have a product, a times b cubed. So then it's going to be the sum of the logs. So it's going to be log base 6 of a plus log base 6 of b cubed. And then when you have an exponent, you on your base, you can bring that exponent out front. So this becomes log base 6 of a plus 3 times log base 6 of b. Okay. Now, when you look here at log base 3 of z to the 4th times the square root of x, you want to think of the square root as an exponent. So you're going to think of this as log base 3 of z to the 4th times x to the 1/2. So remember, square root is just an exponent of 1/2. So now we have a product here, so we can separate that as a sum. So it's going to become log base 3 of z to the 4th plus log base 3 of x to the 1/2. And now we can go ahead and take those exponents out front, and this becomes 4 log base 3 of z plus 1/2 log base 3 of x. So it's completely expanded. Same thing, we have the square root again, but now you'll notice we have some in the denominator. So when you're dividing like that, you're instead of adding like we do for multiply, see here we're multiplying, so we use a plus. Well, here we're dividing, so we're going to have a negative in front of these two logs. So let me show you how that looks. X squared is in the numerator, so I'm just going to keep that as log x squared. But now I'm going to subtract log of z, and I'm also going to subtract log of the square root of y, which is y to the 1/2. Okay. So anything that's in the denominator is going to have a negative out front. And then we do the same thing with the exponents as we did earlier. We just bring those out front. So this becomes 2 log of x minus log of z minus 1/2 log of y. So that's how we expand logarithms. And now in number 8, we're just going to do the reverse. We're going to condense them or write them as a single logarithm. So here we have 3 log 4a minus 3 log 4b. To write that as a single logarithm, we're having a. Now look, this minus means it's a fraction, so it's going to be a over b. And these are your exponents, so it's going to be cubed here and cubed here. Okay. So here, everything that's positive is going to go in the numerator. Everything that's negative is going to go in the denominator. So we have a single log. X cubed plus 1 is going to go in the numerator. And then x as well. And then the denominator, this has a negative in front. It's going to be 2x minus 5. Now we got to deal with these, okay? X cubed plus 1 is going to be squared because of that 2. X is going to be cubed because of that 3. And then 2x minus 5, this 1/5 means 5th root. So we're just going to take the 5th root of that. Okay. All right, again, anything that has a negative is going to go in the denominator. Anything that has a positive is going to go in the numerator. So we're going to have log of 5th root of x squared, and then times x cubed. Now this can be further simplified. And the reason is, notice that this fifth root of x is actually x to the 1/5. So we have log x to the 1/5 times x cubed over x squared. And when you multiply, you add the exponents as long as the bases match. So here the bases match. We couldn't do that up here because we had one base was x cubed plus 1, one base was x, one base was 2x minus 5. But here they're all x. So we can write this as log 3 plus 1/2 is 3.5, but then you subtract 2 because of the exponent in the denominator. So that's going to be 3.5 minus 2, or 1.5. You could just write that as x to the 3/2, or you could write it as log x cubed with the square root. The 3 here is the exponent. That's because this 3 is in the numerator. And the fact that the 2 is in the denominator means you're taking the square root. So this is your condensed, or you're writing it as a single log. Now, I mentioned in a previous video about how you can calculate logarithms on your calculator. Here we have log base 8 of 32, and you're going to use the change of base formula. And that formula just says that if you have log base n of m, that's just log of any base. So your calculator has the common log in it. So let's just say log of m over log of n, or you could use the natural log. So log base n of m. Really, you can use any log, but these are the two that are in your calculator. So you should use those, either the common log. You don't want to switch them though. You want to be consistent. Either you're going to use the common log for the formula, or you're going to use the natural log for the formula. So in this case, and the way I memorize this formula is I just take the log of each of these numbers. So log of 32 divided by log of 8. Whoops. And I remember that the base is always on the bottom because, like a basement is in the bottom of the house. So here's the base. So I know that the 8 goes on the bottom and the 32 goes on top. So once I've determined that, then I use my calculator, and so we're just going to say log of 32 divided by log of 8. And you get 1.67 if you round it, or I know that 6666, like that is 1 2/3. So I could write it that way too, but typically you're just going to write it as a decimal.